So at this point, we know the Bulls are going to be getting one of the top 4 prospects in this draft. Like, as much as some like to maybe think there's an outside chance that they would pass on Wilson and take Acuff or Wagler, it's not going to happen. The Bulls are going to take whoever among those top 4 are left standing, and they should be so lucky to find themselves in this position. And while we've talked about a lot of the top 4 prospects, particularly Caleb Wilson and Cam Boozer, I did a whole video breaking down the strengths and weaknesses of each and who fits best with the Bulls. But one player we haven't talked about that much anyway, that I won't lie about, I'm a little nervous if should he actually fall to the Bulls at number 4. And yes, I'm talking about Darryn Peterson, who is arguably the most talented player in this draft, one of the most gifted scorers we've seen coming into the league in a while. But there's just something about him as a prospect that makes me wary of the Bulls selecting him, a player that in my view has major boom or bust potential. And when you're the Bulls and you need to hit on this pick so badly, I do worry what it could mean should Peterson fall to them, and I'll explain why in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You're listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Now, I want to make something very clear. By no means am I implying that the Bulls should pass on Darryn Peterson if he happens to be available when they're on the clock at number 4. Like, as much as it may make me nervous about taking Peterson over the other 3 guys that I would love to have on the Bulls, there is no scenario where you don't take him. You take the best player available and you figure it out after the fact if things are not working out. Now, all of this being said, I don't think it's likely Peterson is going to drop to 4. I think it's highly unlikely the Jazz will pass on him, given the gluttony of bigs they have on their roster between Jaren Jackson Jr., Lauri Markkanen, and Walker Kessler. Adding a guy like Boozer or Wilson is a bad fit for them. And Peterson actually fits perfectly with their budding star in Keontae George. So at the end of the day, this likely isn't going to be a problem for the Bulls to worry about, but even still, I have seen a small amount, but a few mock boards that actually have Peterson falling to 4. And a lot of it is because there have been some reports that Peterson hasn't been interviewing that well, and that there's questions about his motivations and trying to push his way to certain teams. And so it isn't out of the question that Peterson could slip if some of these teams are perceiving him to potentially be a problem in the locker room, or he lacks the drive to be one of the best players in the league, as he has the potential to do so. But let's start with taking a deeper look into Darryn Peterson and why he is being touted as the most talented prospect in this draft class, a talent that even separates him from the other 4. I mean, all you have to do is watch the tape of what this guy can do, both from his high school days and when he was available anyway in his freshman season at Kansas. The blend of positional size, the build, elite athleticism that generally speaking produces superstars in this league. He's 6'4", but with a broad and lean frame, his strength and agility enables him to power through traffic, and because of his excellent ball handling, he's incredible at weaving in and out of traffic in transition, with no one being able to stop him in his tracks. The way he flows with the ball and ability to stop on a dime and take a step back 3 or navigate the offense to find open cutter, combined again with his frame, kind of reminds me of a young James Harden. And like Harden, he's one of the most talented shot makers we've seen coming into the league in years. The man is instantly going to provide a jolt of offense wherever he goes, and absolutely has the ability to be a number 1 option on a contending team. The fact that he can score at all 3 levels on high efficiency is why so many people are intrigued by him, despite some of the concerns that we talked about at the top of the video. He's got a really quick shot, quick release. He knows how to create separation and get off a good look, but also a dribble drive to the basket if he's able to get his man up in the air, a great pull-up threat in transition. In fact, he took a good portion of his 3s in college on fast break 3s, where he would do a stop and pop. Some of those shots may have been ill-advised, but hey, they went down. And while I wouldn't, say his defense is great, it's also not terrible, which you would typically see from an elite level offensive player and shot maker who tends to solely focus on that part of their game. He's a decent perimeter defender with good lateral quickness. So yes, I won't deny that Peterson has one of the highest ceilings in this draft, the possibility and potential to be a superstar in this league. And we all know the Bulls have been craving for a superstar for years now, since before Derrick Rose got injured. Here are the downsides though. And I know I talked about them briefly at the top of the video, but I want to go a bit more in depth here. There are some serious questions about his health. He was on again, off again throughout his freshman season, would even come into games, then be asked to be taken out when his team really needed him because of cramping in his leg. He also had a hamstring strain, an ankle sprain, like nothing serious by any means, but there were some questions about, hey, how injured is he really? Is he sitting out on his team because he's more focused on his NBA career than actually trying to help his team win? But even the injuries aside, I mean, there have been some early signs of him taking a similar route to that of Ace Bailey and how he handled his pre-draft process. I mean, with Darryn Peterson, his dad, his agent wanting more control on where he ends up going, only wanting to hold certain pre-draft workouts with teams, wanting to go somewhere where he's going to be the guy and not the second or third option. I don't like the vibes. Like, I recognize the talent, I see the star potential, and sure, maybe some of this is just exaggerated reporting, maybe some of this is misinformation, but yeah, I'm not liking the vibes. I'm not for someone coming into this team with a massive ego as a rookie thinking they run the place and that everything should be built through them. Like, it would be one thing if Peterson was feeling this way, but he was a big-time energy guy, was demonstrating leadership skills and having a knack for hyping up his teammates, a guy that was clearly going to be a net positive in the locker room, a culture setter, but we just really aren't seeing that early on from Darryn Peterson. Like, that's what I love about Caleb Wilson. I mean, you can say, well, he's just, great at saying all the right things when he's talking to the media, but when he was that player correspondent in game 1 of the finals, talking about how, if he's drafted by the Bulls, he wants to change the culture there, how he wants to bring the franchise back on the map like it deserves to be, stuff that he said at the Combine too, wanting to work hard and get better every day, how he wants to compete at the highest level possible, set the tone for his teammates. I mean, those are the types of guys I want on my team, guys who are going to give it their all, guys who are actually going to take pride in putting on a Chicago Bulls jersey, that it means something to them, and that they'll be all in on making their team better, not necessarily themselves individually and their own success and accolades. And again, maybe Peterson will be that guy. Maybe he comes into the league and all that noise that's been surrounding him up until this point goes away when he shows that he's the best player in this draft, that he's not a selfish player, that he can make his teammates around him better, and that the injuries this past season were just, a minor blip in the start of his young career that we no longer have to worry about. All of these things could be true. I'm just wary of Darryn Peterson as the prospect that we know of him today. An insanely talented player that has loads of potential, but at times, I kind of get the Ben Simmons vibes, mounting injuries, but also a lack of work ethic and dedication to his craft. Again, likely something we aren't going to have to worry about, as I find it unlikely that Peterson will drop to 4. I can't see the Jazz passing on him, given, again, the fit with their roster, but it is something in the back of my head that I don't think is out of the realm of possibility, and my hope is that it won't come back to haunt the Bulls when they've been finally gifted a situation where they have a top 4 pick in a stacked draft class, a projected star level player, and that star level player just ends up busting for them when the other 3 go on to do great things. If that ends up happening, I feel like the Bulls will just be cursed as a franchise at that point, and we'll be witnessing another Cubs-like drought before we see another championship from this team. But anyway, I know I'm in the minority on this opinion, but let me know what you guys think. Feel free to roast me in the comments, and of course, as always, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.